Hello everyone, this is ZeroJart, and I'm here to show you how to draw Metal Gear Solid Snake. There's a second part of this tutorial, and this is the part where I color it in Photoshop. What I did in the beginning is I adjusted the levels layer. What I did is I made the darks darker and the lights lighter. Because once you scan it in, this is where we left off. Once you scan it in the computer, the scan light will disorient the values and hues and saturates it. So you should always adjust the levels and hues because it's going to lose values and saturation. So after that, I brushed in the colors. It's on a multiply layer. A multiply layer, what it does is whatever value you put on, the value that's lighter will go beneath the darker value. So even though I'm coloring on top of the black ink, the value that I'm putting on is lighter, so it won't cover up the dark ink, because the black ink is, the value is so dark that whatever I put beneath it will go beneath it. So whoever does traditional mediums such as like inking, and they want to color in digital format, they should always put their colors on the multiply layer. So I chose my my color palette. It's gonna be the dark green and the saturated green and saturated beige. After I put on those two colors, just the midtone, I developed from there. I put lighter values and darker values. While I do this, I put the colors on the side, all the values on the side too, because I don't want to try to find what values I put on and just go through Snake's body and try to find the perfect color. I always put it on the side so it's easy to get the color I used already. So that will help speed your process up. And you don't have to render every moment. I always trying to get loose, and that's how the original artwork works. It's really smooth, it's natural, it's fluent, and the color is only there to support the mood and what he tries to portray and give it a color palette. So the only critical part is the inking. The digital is always easier. You can always go back and add stuff, erase stuff, and start over. It's not as critical as the inking. And right now I'm using just two brushes. One is just the original hard round, and the next one is a chalk brush to give it a little bit of texture and a different line quality to the ink, the coloring. So after I put in the colors, the major colors, the green and the beige, I kind of introduced some different colors, a little bit lighter yellow, bluish, because whatever's further away or in the dark, it's not all black. You should introduce some color values, because if it's in dark shadows, it's going to be cooler. So I put in more blues in the shadow areas and darker areas. And if it's closer, it's going to tend to be warm because it's in the lights. So bring in reds and yellows. And this is a really easy process. You don't really have to render. It's just supporting the ink and just put a little more detail in. And then right now, this is on the screen layer. What a screen layer does, it gives that neon feel, that over brightness, explosion of color. I use this for highlights and kind of blend in the colors a little bit. Don't overuse it because it's gonna be kind of cartoony-ish. And that I introduced some blues into it and give it some neon feel and highlights. And I give it a second layer. This is the overlay. Okay, this is the screen layer. So this is a screen layer. I'm putting highlights on the black ink because the overlay doesn't go over darker values. So I give highlights on his belt and his torso and his legs. So always kind of play around with the layers because there's a lot of modes, and there's no definite answer to Photoshop. You can always use different techniques to different approaches. So whatever fits you the best will always work for you. And probably after this, I will introduce texture into this because just the digital brushing won't give me the texture I want. I want some more like a fiber in it, more paper texture in it to give it a feel that it's more handmade. It's not all digital. So after cleaning up the lines, what I do is I'll bring in a piece of photo reference. It's going to be a piece of a photo of a paper, and it's colored and it's beige, so I'm going to introduce that in to kind of give me the texture that I really want. And I'm still giving a little more detail to give it more of a smoother look. And just a little bit more darkness in the shadow areas. Okay, now this is the part where I introduce you to texture. So that's the paper, and then probably go through, I mostly use overlays or screen layers or multiply layers. I'll probably go with screen, I believe. And then I just delete the part that I don't want to use because I don't want the whole image covering everything. I just want the texture in snake and in the color. And I just adjust the levels because the texture's not coming out right. I need more of the textures coming out, so I make the darks darker and the lights lighter. And this is the end of this tutorial. After that, I actually came back the next morning and fixed it. I added a little bit more texture and a little bit more darks in his eyes, details in his eyes, because his eyes weren't giving that focal point I wanted. So after that, I gave a little more detail because you always need fresh eyes, because the next morning I came out and I was like, okay, this is not working. I need to add more. And after that, I like the results. So don't always finish it in one sittings because it's going to you're gonna just get lost in the painting and you're just gonna get sick of it. So always kind of have relaxing moments between your paintings, and so it gives you a fresh eye. And I hope you enjoyed this second tutorial and hope it really helps you out. And if you really liked it, please like and subscribe because it's going to help me out. Thank you, and hope to see you again.